Hello again, traders, and welcome back to the Hot Stocks Outlook for February 7th, 2025. I hope you all have had a nice week out there in the financial markets. And as always, we're going to take a look at the most recent VantagePoint AI predictive forecast. So if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and click on the link down in the description below. You can get signed up for a live demonstration. You can learn all the specifics about how these predictive indicators and technologies are helping traders make better trading decisions out in the marketplace. Now, as we typically do, we start out by taking a look at the S&P 500. We can see here we're up about 3.7% year to date, but we've really been running sideways. There's a lot of earnings reports, a lot of volatility, a lot of choppiness in shares. And this is where sort of honing in on the major themes of the market, where a lot of these intermarket relationships end up driving price action, even in individual stocks. So we could start out here with shares of Sandstorm Gold, because we've actually seen a lot of buying in precious metals, whether it be copper, platinum, gold, and this drives a lot of the marketplace here. So when we look at Sandstorm, what we're looking at to really understand all of these predictive indicators in the forecast is that all of this is daily price action, right? So each one of the candles there that you're seeing, that's going to represent a full and complete trading day. And right up against that price data, the first thing that you're going to notice there is a black line and also a blue line value. Now, the black line that you're seeing there, that is actually a simple moving average, we refer to as the actual simple moving average. And this is a very common technical analysis tool in that it's going to look back over the previous 10 close prices, add those all together, and then divide by that number. And that provides us with a rolling summary of where market prices have been. But what VantagePoint traders are able to do is compare that value to this proprietary predicted moving average, this blue line that we have on the chart. And for this number, which you can think of a prediction of future prices plotted on the chart for you, well, to get that number, this is where the technology of artificial neural networks come into play, and they're performing what we would call intermarket analysis. And so this is really applicable on a stock like Sandstorm Gold here, where certainly there's going to be important market relationships between this stock and other gold mining ETFs, as well as the other gold mining stocks. But it's even able to look at the commodity itself. So whether that be gold or copper or other precious metal markets, as well as the value of the dollar index or interest rates. So it's really taking this global approach and how are these markets driving and affecting the individual stock that you might be trading. And so as long as that blue line of that predicted moving average is above the actual moving average, well, then that would suggest you'd buy and take profits on long positions. Around the gold space. So there's a lot of these gold producers, whether they be bigger or smaller, as Newmont Mining's doing real well. Franco-Nevada, which we looked at last week, we'll bring that chart up again. But you see about a 13.5% rally just over the past 25 trading days since we got that blue line crossing above the black line in this particular stock. And additionally, we can take a look back and look at all of these predicted high and predicted low values. So each week, what we do is we look at that overall trend. And then we look at some of these shorter term indicators from VantagePoint. If you look at the right-hand side of the chart, you have the daily high and the daily low. And what's going to happen is the actual market data is going to fill in that range, and we're going to keep progressing forward through time. So that provides traders excellent levels. And you see it as this market has remained in this uptrend, down at these predicted lows, offer an excellent level to scoop up shares at a discount before we start seeing that momentum heat up. So even earlier this week, really at Monday, moved down to that predicted low. We've seen more strength and buying throughout the commodity space, especially. That's driven up a lot of these shares. So really nice opportunity there. And of course, at the very bottom of the chart here as well, we have our VantagePoint predicted neural index. So you have this bar that goes from green to red and back to green. And this is tuned a little bit differently over a 48-hour period. And you see how it does a good job of warning of short-term weakness and some choppiness in the market. But again, as long as that overall trend remains higher, you may want to be buying down at those VantagePoint predicted lows. So really nice move there. Franco-Nevada just, updating the chart from last week. And we see as the market progresses, shares moving higher still. So you're up about 20% now just in the past 26 trading days. Other markets, again, driven by a lot of earnings announcements and earnings reports. So Spotify was one of these markets we brought through last week. Going into earnings, we have a very strong trend with that predicted moving average above the actual moving average. And again, we can look back at those daily predicted highs and lows and say, okay, well, where can we start establishing a position, get some good entries, and actually give yourself plenty of cushion going into earnings. So you see actually here the day before earnings, moving down to that predicted low, immediately getting bid up, and then responding to that event as the earnings report comes in, and we see shares going much higher. So this is getting a much stronger boost here. This week, shares up about 36% just in the past 23 trading days. We also looked at Starbux, and this is, again, another good example of these markets. And even after earnings, what the software does a good job of is adapting, right? So you have all of these levels, the predicted high and predicted low. Our VantagePoint Neural Index is going to do a good job at adjusting these levels and saying, okay, well, Neural Index is bearish here. You see we get a gap down the next trading day, but still very much in an uptrend. So as we move down to those levels, you see shares bid up. Now the market trading up towards about 112. So really nice opportunity in shares of Starbux, shares about 21% from some of those early predicted lows that were achieved all the way back in the early part of January, really getting started to the beginning of the year here. GE Aerospace, this is another market where we looked at these forecasts, just sort of updating some of the markets we've looked at in previous weeks, but just over the past couple of weeks, we get, again, that move around earnings, but you want the software to adapt, right? And say, okay, well, what's changed here? Well, we're still in an uptrend, and we have those predicted highs and lows really to guide the price action and trading you might be doing. So again, earlier here in the week, moving down towards these predicted lows and quickly moving up to these subsequent predicted high levels. So getting a few more dollars out of the market as the market trends higher. Lastly, we have Alibaba. So again, another good example of this. Blue line crossing above the black line, Neural Index very bullish. And so we come into this choppy period where you see that Neural Index does get bearish and you get some subsequent sort of choppy price action around earnings. This is kind of the story of the market. A lot of earnings reports. Really the bigger theme out there is these commodity markets really getting driven higher. But there are these other markets that turned higher earlier in the year. And again, here we can look at these VantagePoint predicted lows, and this is where this is quite effective. So even as we start running sideways and we see that choppiness, providing some good levels to scoop up shares within this overall uptrend. You see that Neural Index getting bullish once again and the trend to the upside. So, a lot of these markets that we've seen are trending. Well, they're continuing those trends in agreement with the VantagePoint forecast here and offering some really nice trading opportunities. So you see BABA here up over 20% now just over the past 14 trading days. So again, really exciting opportunities, but of course you want to stay connected to whatever your strategy is, whether it be shorter term or long term, and then benefiting off of these predictive indicators provided via the technology here. So we'll go ahead and leave it there for today. But once again, this has been the VantagePoint Hot Stocks Outlook for February 7th, 2025. Thank you all for watching. Best of luck out there, and bye for now.